Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Because I was at the supermarket the other day, I thought that today we could do some idioms related to food, mainly meat. And the first one is bring home the bacon. And this idiom means to earn a living, particularly for one's family. It originated from the idea of working to provide essential food items, with bacon being a valuable and desired commodity. Oh, got to go to work now, bring home the bacon, see you later. It's used very informally. Another way of saying it might be, oh well, better get ready to bring home the bacon, I suppose. See you later. Yeah. The next one is cold turkey. And we use this when someone abruptly stops a habit or addiction without gradual easing. The term is thought to come from the texture of a turkey's skin, which supposedly is cold. I've never touched a turkey's skin, so it's a strange place for this idiom to come from, but I can tell you it's very common. Yeah. I want to give up drinking, but I'm afraid if I go cold turkey, I'll become very sick. Another one might be, I quit smoking last week. Oh, really? Did you? Are you using nicotine patches? No, I just went cold turkey. So you can hear there, cold turkey. Like two peas in a pod, this idiom describes two people who are very similar or inseparable, much like two peas sitting together in the same pod. A pod is that little green thing that the peas come in. I don't mean the tin. I mean the little stalk, the little leaf that wraps up the beans that you have to squeeze to get them out. Like two peas in a pod. To be honest, you can use it to describe animals or people, but it is not usually describing a romantic situation. Like if you see two people sitting in the office doing the same work, you can say, oh, they're like two peas in a pod sitting there. I've heard people using it to describe romantic couples. Oh, they're really cute, like two peas in a pod. But I it's not something I would use to describe romantic people. Maybe I would describe two kittens like that, for example. But yeah, we use it to describe two people or things which look identical and are kind of cute. Yeah, okay, so beef up is a good one, and you can say that to your friends, especially if he is acting romantically. If you find a guy who is talking about a woman and he goes all mushy, oh, she's really cute. Oh, I really wish I could date her. You could say, look, will you just beef up? We used to say man up, but we're not allowed to say that now, I think, because it's politically incorrect. So it just means strengthen up or have some strength. Have you ever met someone who sometimes at the sight of beauty, they become like mush? Oh, I remember I knew a Spanish man once, many years ago, and all you had to do was to mention Mama's pasta, and he would suddenly start crying because he would remember the delicious taste of his mother's food. And I used to say, would you ever just beef up, please? So beef up, man up is the older version of that, which we don't use anymore. Bite off more than you can chew. Yeah, that's when you take on or try to do a task that's too big or too difficult. Okay, and the relation to food here is when you take a bite of food, but you can't chew it all because you've got too much in your mouth. So you take on a big task and then discover that you can't continue with it because it's too much. And that's it. Those are the idioms related to food. Speaking of that phrasal verb, take on, when you take on a task, I mentioned that a moment ago. Do you remember that song from the 80s, Take On Me? Yeah, by a group called Aha. Somebody asked me yesterday what take on means in that song. Yeah, it's got a few meanings. So to take on is when you, just like I used in the idiom, you try to do something. You take it on. So if you take on a big job, you're prepared to do it, you know. Employers use this phrase when they are wanting to employ somebody new. That's called taking somebody on. Okay, so at a job interview, you could say, if you take on me, then I will be the best employee ever. And the employer is thinking, if we take this man on, maybe he will be a good employee. So to take someone on. But it also has a double meaning because in sports, if you go up against your opponents, you're taking them on. You want to defeat them. For example, two boxers, they might say to each other, come on, take on me, I'll defeat you. So in that song, Take On Me, it's kind of saying, come on, let's have a competition. I'll make sure that I defeat you. But it's in a playful way, of course, because it's a romantic song. Or it could mean, the other meaning, give me a chance. Employ me, for example. So it's a bit of a double meaning, that take on me. Yeah, but nice song. Didn't they also have that lovely video clip for Take On Me, where they're inside a comic book running through a tunnel or running through the book of the pages of the book, something like that. Lovely song, Take On Me. Well, there we are. So that's some idioms related to food. This is also World Adoption Day, when we're supposed to stop and think about those children who don't have homes, and also to think of people we know maybe who've been adopted and their journeys. Now, I would have thought that kind of thing is very private. I mean, I'm sure not everyone wants to tell the world they've been adopted, but there are a number of famous people here who have told the world they were adopted. One of them's Bill Clinton. I didn't know that. Nancy Reagan as well. Nancy Reagan, she was she the actress, was she? Nancy Reagan. Yeah, I'm sure before she married Ronald Reagan, she was Nancy Davis, wasn't she? The actress, a Hollywood actress, as far as I can recall. Yeah. Yeah, she was famous for her anti-drug campaign, Just Say No, because there was a TV show here, Grange Hill, who made a song about drugs called Just Say No if you're offered drugs, to try to get children away from them. And they travelled to the White House to meet her. They were part of that Just Say No campaign. Yeah. So, yeah, apparently her parents were divorced in 1928 and she lived with an aunt and uncle in Maryland. And then her mother's new husband adopted her. Okay, well. Edgar Allan Poe, he was also adopted. Nelson Mandela, he was also another person who was adopted. Eleanor Roosevelt, she was First Lady, wasn't she? From 1933 to 1945. Yeah, she lost both of her parents at age 10, and she was raised by her grandmother. It's interesting, though, because in these examples, these are people who seem to know who their parents were and then were raised by relatives. Steve Jobs, for example, he was born in 1955 to Joanne Carol Scheibel. She became pregnant at 22, and then she gave her baby up for adoption. And then her obstetrician worked with her to find suitable adoptive parents, who were Paul and Clara Jobs. So in this case, it was very clear from the beginning who the real mother was. But some people who are adopted, they don't know anything about the birth parents. And yeah, I had a friend like that. In the old days here in Scotland, there used to be a boat would go from Northern Ireland over to Scotland, because in Ireland, to give birth as an unwed mother was largely a scandal. So they had a boat where they would put the mother on the boat. She would come, have the baby, it would be taken away, and then she could return to Ireland and pretend nothing had happened. Yeah, I had a friend whose mother did that. And then, because abortion was illegal, in Ireland they had a boat where you could get on a boat. The boat would travel to UK waters. You'd have the abortion on the boat, and then you would just go back and lead your life. It's horrific to think about it, but that continued all the way up until I think the 1990s, if not 2000s. Yeah, what a horrible thought, Ooh. So yeah, adoption, of course, is a very nice way of dealing with children. At least it's giving them a life. I don't know. I don't really have a view on the subject, but very interesting. And what's more interesting is that some of these adopted people can go on to become very famous. Some people say that if you're adopted, it makes you stronger somehow, or more independent. I don't know. But wow, with someone like Steve Jobs or Bill Clinton, they certainly gave us a lot of gifts, didn't they? When we think of Steve Jobs' contribution to society, Bill Clinton becoming president. Quite amazing. There we are. So that's today, World Adoption Day. So let's talk again soon. Enjoy your day. Bye.